evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, February 13th, 2018 Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. If everyone could please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okie dokie. First on the agenda this evening, we have public comment period. Toby. And you should go to the microphone too. And will you make sure it's green? I'm just going to go with
Make sure you speak up and look directly at us.
Right. Toby Arsenio, 95 Granite Street. I seem to be town crier as well as public enemy number one. You should announce, I announce, that the planning board is meeting tomorrow night at 7:30 here to discuss the marijuana bylaws, and on the following night, Thursday, they are again meeting here at 7:30 to discuss other proposed bylaw changes. So
Thank you for that's posted upstairs and
yes,
online
indeed,
as well.
Indeed, and they
Thanks.
were meeting this afternoon, plotting changes at the last moment in a state of disorder. And really, it would help if town council were sent to the meeting on marijuana to explain the context of the state laws, which, you know, Herman Lilja has done a fair bit of research, but, you know, reasonable questions were asked, and he was not able to answer them.
Well, did they request? Did they? I don't
No,
think
they
asked
haven't.
us.
I'm meddling
Okay.
as usual.
Okay, that's okay.
And I see you're approving the landscaping for the Millbrook Meadow. I'd like to comment on that when you come to it. And I wonder, can any of the four of you name 5 plants by common names that they plan to plant? That would be a test. I wrote you on the 4th a letter asking that you put on the warrant an article that would direct the planning board to come to the next town meeting with a sewer overlay district confined to the lots abutting the existing sewer. And that was one of the things that was tangentially discussed at the workshop. I think that belongs on the warrant, and you should recommend it. Whether or not you do, you know, there's no chance for the public to weigh in on the matter if there isn't something concrete before them. And the DPW commissioners, when they were declining to undertake this, said that the issue was larger than them, that your board and the planning board and the town meeting need to be involved. Well, the town meeting can't be involved unless they're given something to be involved with.
Yeah, can I just stop you there for a second? Because I think that that my understanding was that the DPW commissioners said that the issue was bigger than them in terms of that it's a DPW Board of Selectmen planning board issue altogether, so that our next step is to meet together and move forward on it. I don't think by any means, I just want to make it clear that the commissioners aren't like refusing to deal with it, but I think we're on the same, we agreed that night that we're on the same page, that it's more than their responsibility to look at that.
So far, so good, and I'm with you there. I'm just saying that it should go a step further, which would mean offering an actual article. I gave you the wording for one.
Yeah, I personally, I don't think we're quite at that point. I think we have to have a joint meeting first, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the other thing regarding the joint meeting, I wrote at some length to the DPW commissioners yesterday
Saw that.
about inflow and infiltration and sewer connections, a whole battery of questions. Joe over there will attest to it and curse me. And all of this is relevant information if you're going to be discussing sewer connections, a sewer district, you know, possible solutions. If you're just holding the meeting, you know, without having background information gathered, and there may be things that I have missed, I'm not an expert on sewers. If you're just holding the meeting, it's going to be a gab fest and nothing more. The information needs to be gathered before the meeting and sent out to all of the participants so they all start on the same page.
Yeah.
And I would appeal to Joe Parisi to say that my questions at least are relevant.
yeah, I got a chance to read your letter yesterday, and I mean, I think it's probably going to take Joe between now and the meeting to get it together, but I agree. I think that the questions are definitely relevant, and that's information that we all need to have.
Okay, and I hope to comment on Millbrook Meadow when you come to it. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
And I shaved and there's no camera.
Oh, the cameras are in there.
Oh, the cameras are on the cameras are built in now.
We're turn around, Dave, come on.
Okay?
Right there. Yeah, I like it.
Look at the Elks
Oh,
coat.
we're
That,
never alone.
how old's the coat?
How
The,
long?
the Elks coat.
Well, actually, for
70s?
40 years, I've been a life member, and I'm a veteran, and that's what I'm gonna speak about tonight.
Could you just state, just for the record, your name and address, please?
I was getting to that, thank you.
Great.
It sounded like you were over there.
Magic.
David Dwinell, 3 Drumlin Road. And I've come before you as a select board, I like that better, and make you aware of what we as Elks, part of our mission statement, is to, as long as there's a veteran, we care and we look out for you. And for the 4th year running, we're gonna have a gathering of 20 or so veterans, single, couples, people with families. It's gonna be held at the Elks on March 18th, a Sunday. You can still get to church and get over there at 11:30, and it'll last till 3:30. And there are 2 people in town, so I thought you would be interested to show your support and welcome them back. A lot of us people thought we were on vacation. They didn't know where we were for the time we spent.
Great.
And we're trying to, in our way, along with veterans organizations throughout Cape Ann and throughout the U.S., to welcome these people back. We're going to have a show for the kids, because their children are invited. And it would be very nice if, and not a personal comment on the present company, but in case someone is listening in Gloucester, this is not a political platform. We're here to honor the veterans coming back and let them know that we care.
Great.
Are you able to share the names of the 2 veterans that are coming back from Rockport?
Actually, I'm on the Veterans Committee,
Yeah.
and I don't even know
Okay,
yet.
okay.
We have a micromanager. So,
No worries, but
in the
thank,
meantime, I'd just like to take a minute and I'll get
Thank
off
you.
the stage.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I
much.
attended last year and it was a great
You
event.
did?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
great.
I did.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for listening.
Thank you. We'll have the office scan this and just email it out to everybody. Thank you very much. Sure.
oh, these are new.
Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
I'd like to address the board. My name is Bob Parity, Jr. I'm a certified firefighter, 1 and 2, with over 20 years on the job here in town, in Rockport. Currently assigned to Speedwell Engine 2 in Pigeon Cove. Prior to that, my assignment was with Squad 1 at Central, and before that, I spent some years with the Forest Fire Department back in the 90s. The Rockport Selectmen's website has a policy page on there. In the front page, you click on Selectmen's policies. Gives directions for citizens and officials to adhere to. And if it's not satisfactorily handled at the town administrator's level, it goes to the selectmen, it says. There's also the town bylaw, which I've read. We have chapter 5 with a personnel board section. And I've been trying to address that. That's what I'm asking you folks tonight about. Some time ago, I raised some worries with folks in town, and we never got a reply. I've spoken with the town administrator's office several times, in which I had to keep being persistent in order to get a reply from that office. And I was told that I was out of sync with reality and didn't have time to work with me anymore or any time for me anymore. There were other more important business and that I was out of sync. I thought that was a little bit rude, but nevertheless, it went on.
Who was it that said that to you?
Town administrator's office.
Okay. Did you have a meeting with them?
I had sent a letter. I waited 3 months with no reply. Another letter, personal visit, and then I got a chance to talk to her. I don't want to, your policy tonight says not to attack individuals, so I'm
No,
trying
you're
not
Yeah,
to.
no. I was just making sure that that
Yeah.
happened. in a
Yep. It's difficult not to mention people, but
Yeah.
I'll try to just say office. But so, not long after that, well, what raised that was I had gone through the Board of Engineers with some safety issues, public safety, through the chain of command. No results, no reply. Other than the very next Sunday, someone came to my front door on a Sunday morning and waved their arm and dismissed me over to Pigeon Cove Station for raising those issues for 3 months temporarily. So I wrote to Linda, didn't get back to me, wrote again. Eventually, we had a meeting. Then she sent me a letter saying I was out of sync with reality, didn't have time for me. And I understand, it's a busy office. At some point, right around then, Mr. Vieira was hired as an assistant town administrator, probably to take some of the load off of the administrator's office. But things got worse. An incident happened. I brought it up to my captain and my lieutenant. Captain and I, Phil Tansen and I met with Mr. Vieira. Mr. Vieira put me on a gag order not to speak with anyone, but still no reply. Another incident happened, very similar, a little worse. Met with Mr. Vieira, put me on a gag order not to talk. So I can't get into that. I've followed his directive not to discuss the particulars of that. Another time I asked for a meeting with the Board of Engineers. We sat, I said, I'd like to have a copy of your minutes. And they told me verbal wasn't good enough, I'd have to put it in writing. Sent an email the next day. Eventually got a letter saying that I would have to pay, I don't know, 35 cents for the minutes and 20 bucks if I wanted a copy of the tape. Subsequently, I gave Mr. Vieira a check for $20 some time ago now. No tape, no minutes, no reply. And then I had a lieutenant interview, which I spoke with Mitch about, and I said, it's not really what happened, Mitch. The denial letter is not how it went. Selectively written. And he said, well, Bob, he's trying to be helpful. He says, write this. I said, I'm tired of banging my head against the wall, Mitch. Well, write this. And he gave me the words to write. I emailed exactly those words, copied Mitch. No reply. Members of our...
No reply from whom?
No reply from anybody. No reply from the Board of Engineers, from Mitch, Town Administrator's office. So, we got the $20 out there. We got a couple gag orders going on. Can't talk about anything. No replies. I've sent registered mail to the chairman at the time was Mr. Murphy, and the chairman of the Personnel Board. Went missing. Registered letters, federally registered letters, missing. I spoke to Mr. Murphy. That was just before the election. He said, I'll look into it, Bob. He did, evidently, because Mr. Vieira eventually caught a hold of me and said he got his, but the rest of us, Mr. Kearns didn't, Mr. Murphy didn't. But no follow-through, no update, no what's on your mind.
Well-
So I can't just keep running, we met, a bunch of firefighters collectively wrote a letter to the Selectmen, had it stamped in to the town clerk and the Selectman's office, asking you for help with this stuff. This ongoing harassment and safety is getting worse and worse. But you don't even nobody gets back to us. You gotta beg. Gag orders. Don't talk to anybody about things. Well, I'm talking, because it's safety. I go to the Personnel Board last Monday. Mr. Vieira told the chairman not to let me speak when the meeting convened. I didn't speak. I raised the issues that section 20 in the Personnel Board regulations tells me. You go through the chain of command, bump, ba-da, bump, ba-da, bump. Well, I'm at the Personnel Board, not allowed to speak. Interestingly enough, he didn't even know what the subject matter was that I wanted to speak about. I just asked to speak and I was denied. You know, we're getting fed up. We're volunteer firefighters. We go out 24/7 for you for whatever problems you got. For $1,800 a year for most of us. Chiefs get more. And we can't even get a reply when we ask for help. There are other issues going on. People can speak for themselves. You may remember, we had a benefits meeting because we kept asking this Board of Engineers, what are our benefits if we get hurt or killed? What happens to my wife, my husband, my children? Us. Board of Engineers says, oh, it's in the office. Where is it? Can we see it? Nothing. So we all got together, if you remember, after a firefighter got injured. We had to learn the hard way. And we met up at the high school. And the town officials, I think some of the selectmen were there, and the town's insurance representatives. That was about 3 years ago. Nothing. You know, and we asked Mr. Vieira, what's going on, sir? Oh, Chief Doyle has that. Board of Engineers. Ask Chief Doyle. Oh, Mitch has got that. Who's telling the truth? No, we're non-union, so we don't have anybody to go to represent us. You guys have got the town attorney, which is great. Spend, out of my pocket over here. If I got to get an attorney, I got to spend it out of both pockets. And it's just trying to help. We want respect, and it's to the point there is even. We get some of our fire truck stuff fixed locally. You can look into who's doing the work. I hope you do. It ranges from poor to life-threatening.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a copy of a letter or something that you'd like to give us tonight?
Madam Chair, I wrote letters. There should be several in the town administrator's office. All of this has been talked about before. I have this. We even had a fire truck show up with no water in the tank, with heavy smoke showing, and a 90-year-old woman in there. This is what's going on. Guys that like myself, others that speak up, get hammered.
Okay, no
Play
one's.
the game, and then you get promoted.
Okay,
and
no
buddy.
one one is hammering you tonight.
No, not tonight. Not
Okay,
your fault.
and
Don't-
I've
don't
given
take
you
me wrong.
more than the normal time allotted,
Thank you.
and I'm honestly happy to take a letter if you have it tonight. I will follow up with Mitch this week, and we will have a response.
But that's
to
the
tonight's
problem.
visit
Mitch is
by
part of the problem.
Okay, well,
Where'd the $20 go, Mitch?
okay, we're not going to get in a back and forth debate. Thank you very much for speaking. You're more than welcome to give us another copy of the letter.
I'm going to go home and calm down. Thank you for that
Okay.
opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice to see you, and thank you for your service to the town.
welcome.
Okay? Thank you. Okay. I know we don't typically deal with, I hesitate to say personnel matters because
Certainly.
Obviously the Human Resources Office is where Mr. Parity should go to, where I believe he has a few times. I think it's an ongoing.
Certainly, generally speaking, personnel matters are addressed, and in cases that have been referenced, despite belief of some, safety matters are addressed immediately and have always been addressed immediately. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
Some folks may not like certain outcomes,
Okay.
but safety matters are addressed immediately. If there's certainly, we've devoted a lot of time to certain individuals with concerns, and we continue to do that.
That's fine, and I'm happy to pull out any letters that we have received in the file and just make sure that the loop is closed on all of them so that we can move forward.
Certainly.
Does that make sense? Okay.
And I, pardon me. I've gotten calls as well, as I know most of us here have. I just, if we can resolve something, fine, that's within our purview, fine. Anything that's obviously a personnel matter has to stay personnel. But I mean, we have a great fire department. We have very dedicated people who've shown their years of service. And if we can do something to affect, a little bit of a positive direction or a change to that, maybe we can do that.
I
we
think
are.
that 98% of the fire department. I actually was in here
I agree.
yesterday morning and I saw the chief and I thanked him because I know that they had an actual chimney fire over the weekend.
Right, I saw that.
And he was really proud of the department and really proud of
Yep.
the action and
Yep.
how it was handled. And they had another big, well, they assisted in Gloucester with a big fire. It's been a busy, knock on wood, it's been a busy winter. And I think we're all, but I agree.
But I
with
think
you.
the willingness for us to help out is there. We just have to do it in the right way.
Yep.
And thank you for clarifying. I think that is an important point, that personnel issues flow through a particular channel.
Yes.
And as the board is well aware, since you established the Human Resources Department, those complaints don't go to the Personnel Board, they go to the Human Resources
Right.
Department.
Exactly. Yep.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
And the one thing I will clear up, because I've actually made the comment on Facebook, which I know sounds silly, but that I personally, and I only speak for myself, but I won't deal with issues like third hand. You know, so and so told me that this is happening. If someone comes to me with a legitimate complaint, I will deal with it or go to the Human Resources Department and deal with it. But I will not deal with something third hand that I see on social media or that someone calls me about. It's the same policy I have with dealing with anonymous complaints.
Completely correct.
I'm happy to speak to someone privately, but you have to tell me who it is. That's
Right.
all. Simple as that. Anything else on this? We good? Okay. Toby, one more comment?
Yes, indeed. You have the microphone, I don't. Could you announce that you're going to deal with the mooring license and the fees at your next meeting, if that is indeed the case? The word should go out.
With the what?
Mooring
Mooring
licensing
fees.
fees.
Oh,
Mooring fees.
is that on our
I haven't
next?
seen it.
Discussed at the Finance Committee meeting Monday, and, it was suggested that, those
Oh.
were going to be on your agenda.
Okay, well, our agenda isn't set yet for our next meeting, so I'm not going to announce that it's, we haven't approved the next agenda yet.
Well, somehow, I think the word, I don't know how, needs to get out, so that, if that's the meeting at which those things are to be discussed, all of the people who care so much about it would know and be there. Otherwise, you'll be most unpopular.
That's no. Okay.
We relish that.
If it gets put on our agenda, we'll announce it.
And it'll be in the paper as required. It's a hearing.
Oh, it's a
You meant
hearing, right. It would
popular
have to be a
would work.
hearing, so it would be in the paper too.
But you're famous, thousands.
Thousands. Okay. Anyone else for public comment? Goodness, it's a feisty night with just a few people here. Okay, moving on. We have interviews of Jeffrey Moulton and Robert McIsaac as members of the Harbor Advisory Committee. Good evening. Do you both want to just join us at the table? We could do it together. Does that make sense? Is there I'll let someone make the two motions, and then we can just have a brief conversation, if that makes sense.
Yes, I nominate Jeffrey Moulton as a member of the Harbor Advisory Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. And is there another?
Sure, I nominate Robert McIsaac as a member of the Harbor Advisory Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2020.
Longer.
Second.
Motion has been made and
Is
seconded.
Al your brother? Al
Mine,
McIsaac?
cousin.
Cousin. Is he still in Maine?
No, I think he's in Florida now.
Florida is, yeah.
Although he's talking about coming back. That's
Okay.
the last I heard. So,
Nice.
Bit of a character.
no.
Yeah. no.
Should meet the rest of the McIsaacs.
Welcome. Nice to see you both. You both have green lights. If you wouldn't mind, just for the thousands that Toby says watch us on television now, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself in town and what brings you to be so gracious as to volunteer for the Harbor Advisory Committee.
I'm Jeff Moulton, 3 Ocean Ave, lifelong resident so far in Rockport, and a boat owner, and have been involved in the harbors through either commercial fishing or recreational boating or other interests there, and would just like to do my time, if you will, to help with the situation with the harbors.
Sounds like a prison sentence.
Yeah, really. I hope I get out on good behavior by June 30th, 2019.
It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
2020 for you. Oh, no, you're 19.
No,
No,
That's strategic.
Bob's in longer than me.
Bob's. And go ahead, Bob.
Robert McIsaac, 2 Clark Ave, Rockport, Mass. Boat owner for, 35 years now, more than Rockport most of those times. I'm interested in trying to maybe solve some of the issues that come up with the harbor advisory. We went to one meeting. There are issues out there that I wasn't aware that were important. And trying to find a solution is what I intend to try to do.
Great, yeah. I find that's really true. Every time I go to a harbor advisory committee meeting, I'm like, oh, I feel like people come to them with issues that I just never would have thought, it's kind of interesting. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions from the board?
No, just
you.
thank you for stepping up.
What are the issues that
Yeah,
you
that
see?
was my
What would you say your top 2, the 3, whatever you think?
Moorings. Moorings, I think, is probably number one. There's, obviously the mooring list is over 400, I believe, at this point. Trying to find spaces, more space than or better use of the space that we have. I don't know where that magic key is, but maybe we can increase it slightly. Somehow trying to keep a current date on the mooring list may help reduce some of it because it's 20 years old and more. And I'm sure some of those people have either moved on or just aren't interested. Trying to keep it current somehow, bring it up to date. That'd be one, but there's a lot of other issues out there.
Yeah, there seems to also be some interest in how do we not necessarily maximize, but better leverage our marine environment for the use of the tourists and visitors to the town, which just, would help everybody in town and just increase commerce and like that. And the more people we get here and the eyes and, pockets with little spendable cash in it would just be good for everybody. And it's a great place, and we hope a lot more people could come to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. When I was young and taught sailing, there was the Apple Door, there was the Whale Watch. You
Oh.
could rent a boat at White Wharf.
There was
There was like a lot, and now it's just the kayak.
Yeah, no, there
place.
was
It's
at least
crazy.
8 charter boats.
We're
Mary
good,
B2, we had the
The
Susan.
winner 3.
Yeah, I mean,
Bev.
right, the Bev. And, I mean, we had all these great guys, Slippery Wheaton
Yeah.
and all like that were taking, whether they were 6-packs or full loads.
Yeah.
And there's none of that anymore.
Yeah.
And people, I would bet today that people still come down to your wharf saying, can we get a boat ride?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
can we
yeah,
do this? Can we do
definitely.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why even when the Navy boats come,
I
with
love
the
that weekend.
Yeah.
people line up, just and those boats are like tied to the dock.
I know
basically.
parking's an issue as
Yeah.
being a resident. However, it'd be great to see that all summer long down there.
Yeah.
How do you attract that? How do you bring stuff like that back and really revitalize that section, that segment?
I think it's harder now with
I think-
liability.
Well, I was
insurance.
just going to say, I think everything was simpler and easier to
Simpler.
do, but now it's so expensive, insurance and things like that, that
Yeah.
I just wonder if overhead costs are just too
Liability.
high, the liability and.
Yeah.
But
and
if they
for-
do it in another town, it tells me we can do it here. And it seems like, because we're so perfectly suited, being our location, just the aesthetics of everything.
Well, then I think you get in the trouble with Gloucester being just larger. You can fit a headboat in that can take 65 or 70 people or whatever, like the Hurricane boats may be or whatever.
Yeah.
Where the Winner 3, to your example, Paul, was the biggest boat we ever had in there. She tied up over in Granite Pier, would pick up people in Rockport and drop them back at Rockport.
I remember that.
But that was about the only, she was the exception to the rule. Everything else was lobster boat or a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
Yeah, that had 3 decks, I think.
Yeah, it was more of a
Was that
classic,
big?
like
Yeah.
Florida-style headboat, like
Yeah.
you see over in Gloucester now. She was all wood, but,
Yeah.
they're
But that's
modernized.
definitely something we should explore. And I mean, I'm sure
Even
we'd love
even if
to.
it's to make accommodations for kayakers
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whoever, it seems to go to waste if we don't share it.
Yeah, and
So-
I mean, I think the Thatcher Island trips sell out really quickly. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
even with
Those
the
are
new
booked.
boat,
Yeah.
those book really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's,
So-
I mean,
I know.
it's a good problem to have, right? That we're trying to get people in the water more, not,
Right, and to Bob's point, the moorings and how many years has it been talked about? Can you reconfigure, can you re-engineer, can you do this, can you do that? And
yeah,
I think it would pay for itself, but here I'm just spitballing, I mean, but,
definitely.
you know, it seems like it's really our only true asset we have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As far as industry goes, it's tourism.
The good thing is coming at it with, with the perspective you have. I like what you're saying, and I promise that I will definitely sentence you to 2 years of hard labor on the Harbor Advisory Committee, so-
Oh, great,
So
I
you'll-
just
you'll-
put my foot in it.
Right, you'll be all set, so that's good.
That, the last meeting we had, there was some discussion of maybe utilizing a mooring field off of front and back beach for a larger boat that could transport people, or a shuttle out to the boats that tie up there on weekends, particularly sailboats and so forth.
Yeah.
So those are the games that have got to be played and kind of evaluated. Liability insurance, I think, is the biggest
Yeah.
stopper,
Yeah.
but we have to look into that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Has there been any discussion of aquaculture?
No, not that I know of.
No,
But I
no.
don't think we're
We're
quite,
not well suited.
our latitude is low enough where we don't
Yeah.
get the tidal flow.
Yeah.
And then this is just my opinion, the conflict you'd have probably with commercial fishermen, because we're limited, again,
Yeah.
we're limited by area and,
Right.
and
Right.
such like that, so.
I think there have been discussions in the past about salmon farming offshore a ways, it's
Yeah.
well outside the
Yeah.
the area, Rockport area. But it kind of fell through. It didn't, it caused, I guess it caused more problems than,
Yeah, it was in quad of it.
yeah, right, caused more problems than solutions, so.
But even if you hung how many acres of mussel ropes and stuff like that, you're gonna take away, I mean, like, think of all the races that the yacht club has in Sandy Bay and all like that.
Right.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
Right.
you're taking away navigable water.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of challenging,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Maybe out in the middle of Ipswich Bay, but then that's out of our purview,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So,
Anyway, well, thank you both for,
Thank you
for
both.
Thank you.
stepping forward. I know that the harbor, I mean, all committees in town are a large time commitment, but I know that's a busy one as well. So we thank you for putting forth your name and for putting the time in for us.
yeah.
Our policy is that you're nominated tonight. We'll vote on it at our next meeting, but you don't have to be here for that.
Okay.
And you can get to work.
Don't wait.
Not to mince words.
So I can have the cards made up with his name on it?
Yeah.
Ask me a question. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nice to see you both.
Thank you very much.
Very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like we've been interviewing such great people lately. Good stuff. I know we have some openings, but I feel like some of them are just kind of, people retiring. But I feel like we're getting some really, really good people on committees lately.
Are we starting to close the gap on the number of people we need to what we have open?
At the moment, we are. We've got two folks coming on here. We've got someone coming on Historical Commission. Council on Aging is at their meeting today. They have 2 spots open. They've got 4 people interested.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're at that
Fantastic.
point in the cycle where we really are recruiting pretty
We're getting
heavily.
more than we're losing.
We are. And we'll
Good.
always have that melt
There's
factor a
always,
bit, but,
right, because people are always moving
sure.
on.
But we're
from
doing
this,
really
but-
well right
Yeah.
now on that.
I think Jim can find another committee to jump on too. Yeah.
Did you have a quick
Right.
comment, Jim? Yep.
about that, something for the selectmen to consider about getting people in to tie in with the harbor is a striper tournament in Rockport. We had a decent prize and people love to see the fish coming off and weigh in.
Yeah.
It's, we have a lot of boats and a lot of fun participants that could all meet at the fish shack, for example,
Yeah.
afterwards, but
Yeah, good idea.
t-shirts.
Sure.
Definitely, yeah, the striper tournaments in Gloucester are huge. Yeah, fun. Okay, thanks. Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes of January 30th, 2018.
I move that the selectmen approve the minutes of January 30th, 2018.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Nope, I read through them, good.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have selectmen updates and liaison reports.
I have one that's not really a update or a liaison report, but I just want to publicly recognize last night, many of the selectmen were at a time that we had for Peter Beecham and his wife Jan, who we had it at the Fish Shack in downtown Rockport, and it was just kind of a thank you for all that they have done for the town. Numerous committees, Education Foundation, Rotary, the list goes on, economic development between the two of them. And it was really nice. We had Senator Bruce Tarr and Ann Margaret Ferrante, our state rep, and obviously members of the Selectmen, and a number of townspeople, probably about 30, 40 people were there. But it was really nice. It was it really made you feel proud to be from Rockport, and all the kind words that were extended to Peter and Jan were obviously heartfelt. But this is a unique place, and I think Sam Coburn, who moved to Rockport to retire here, he said, you know, you people that live here, present company included, that grew up here, are really fortunate to have been part of this community. And it was just a great night, and I really enjoyed it. It was one of the, as Sarah often says, one of the nicest things we do as a member of the Board of Selectmen, being in the parade and so forth. But showing up at events like that is really nice. So congratulations to Peter and Jan Beecham.
Yeah. You were an excellent MC, by the way,
Great job.
Oh, wow.
as always.
No.
No, it was such a nice.
Oh, stop. Go on.
Peter and Jan both, I was like literally brought to tears when we were like reading the citations, because they have done so much, so kind of quietly,
And not, I mean, they moved to Rockport, I think, in 2003.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like they've been here for decades.
yeah,
You know.
and they both are so kind of quiet, and I like to say that we're always looking for people without agendas, but they both have an agenda, and it's
Yes.
just to make Rockport a great place to live and visit, and they kind
For
of
the
have
year-round residents, too.
quietly
They would-
done that, you know, since they moved here,
Yeah.
and you know, they have more work to do. I mean, at the end of the night, Peter like pulled me aside and was like whispering his next plans, and I was like, oh my goodness.
And
Let's just enjoy the night, Peter.
just a word of advice to my colleagues that are sitting here on the table, and I've said this numerous times. When you go to a situation like that and you have to public speak, find the person who's going to be the MC and make sure that you go before Bruce Tarr. You
Right.
never, ever, ever want to follow Bruce Tarr. The guy doesn't use notes. He injects humor. He's unbelievable.
Luckily, he's always really late, so it's kind of easy
Yeah.
to go before him.
I
But
was
it
right. I
was
think
really nice.
it was really nice.
Like
It
a
was good.
really, it was a really special night.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I digress.
It was.
Okay.
It was.
Other
Real quick, the Thursday night will be the Millbrook meeting, so I know we have some stuff on the agenda here tonight, but if anybody has any questions, that'll happen on Thursday at the library. And then the sticker rates for the DPW has been rescheduled for the 28th, with the location to be determined. Have we found a spot for that yet? It's gonna be here? Okay, so the sticker fees hearing will be here on the 28th.
Perfect.
7
That was
o'clock, I'm sure,
Great
right?
that you were able to move that so it's not school vacation week. Awesome.
Good, that's all I have.
Great. Denise, did you have anything?
No, I was otherwise occupied.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything to add besides this. No, I think we're good. Good for tonight. Okay. Moving on to the action list. First, we have to close the annual town meeting warrant. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the board close the April 7th, 2018 annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Mitch, do you want to briefly,
Certainly, Madam Chair, so in front of the board this
since
evening
we're
is the draft
just
list.
closing it tonight, we don't have to get into detail. You can just.
Certainly. Our standard articles are on there, the charity articles are all on there, the budgets, capital items are there. We have 2 petition articles, one that addresses, seeks to address 4 licenses for not to be consumed on the premises, so liquor store establishments. We also, yes, so we
I
have
just
one
saw
of
that
those that are on the, that we've received.
Okay.
We have one also dealing with the sewer capacity and the limitations on our wastewater system that's on there. We have several articles coming through the Planning Board and Board of Health dealing with marijuana, both medical and non-medical. There'll be a hearing for that tomorrow evening, for those who are available, as has been announced. Several housekeeping items coming in from the Planning Board as well, rescinding the aircraft landing area section of the zoning bylaws, adjusting areas and fences, side setbacks,
With the decision. And the
building
the
height.
aircraft, sorry to interrupt,
Sure.
the aircraft, just to be clear, the aircraft landing one rescinds the section of the zoning bylaws following the recent court decision.
Correct, thank you.
So this is a
Yes,
follow-up to that.
this is a follow-up per
We had
council's
created a
advice.
bylaw,
Yes.
yeah.
New DPW facility request was submitted by DPW. And the rest is part of our traditional articles, so when the time comes, I'll certainly walk through in detail with the board, but that's
Yes,
the gist
great.
for this evening.
Perfect.
Good.
Any questions on this from the board?
No, some interesting stuff.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, okay. All those in favor of closing the annual town meeting warrant, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And again, it's April 7th, 2018. Great. Next, we have ratify an agreement with the town administrator.
I move that the Board of Selectmen ratify and approve the agreement with Linda Sanders effective February 9th, 2018, which was previously authorized by the Board of Selectmen in executive session on February 6th, 2018.
Great.
Second?
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Just a brief on this, the Board of Selectmen met in executive session, which one of the exceptions is to discuss contract negotiations with contract employees, the town administrator being one. In executive session, the board voted unanimously to come to an agreement with the town administrator that would put her on leave for the remainder of her contract. The agreement has been signed by the town administrator and by all the selectmen, so tonight's vote is just to ratify that agreement. And I believe that's it. Any comments or questions? And I know that Linda sent an email to town employees, and we of course thank her for her years of service to the town. And we wish her nothing but all the best.
Sure.
So, thank you.
No, Linda did a great job for 8 years, and we obviously, I think she's gonna be remaining here in town, which is great, and she used to always say this, she chose to come to Rockport. I mean, she really wanted to come to this community, so we thank her for her terrific service, so.
Thanks. Any further comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have appointment of the interim town administrator.
What's his name?
Okay, there you go.
I move that the board appoint Mitchell Vieira as interim town administrator effective immediately until a further vote of this board.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. And just to comment on this, I know that there are big shoes to fill in that office. Mitch, in my opinion, has done an more than excellent job so far as assistant town administrator. And I think our plan for now, my opinion is that we appoint an interim for now and then kind of regroup in a few months and then, set forth a process to in the long term, obviously, find a new, a permanent town administrator.
No,
But for now, use an interim.
I agree, and Mitch has been, how many years you been here?
Going on 6 years.
6 years.
Really?
Yeah. You were about, you were about 12.
I'm
when
getting
you
old.
But Mitch is, I've always said this about Mitch. Mitch is wise beyond his years, and he's done a great job. And I think the five of us have dealt with Mitch for me. 6 years I was on the board when we hired him, and for a young guy, he's got a lot of experience, and he knows how to deal with people. He knows how to make sure that the operations of the town is being taken care of, and he doesn't get emotional on things. And so I wish you all the best in this position. I think it's going to be a great position for you, and
Position, not sentence.
No, exactly.
Unlike others tonight.
So,
I have every confidence that the town won't skip a beat. The business will carry on, and I know you'll do a great job.
Yes, and I sent an email to town employees the other day just stating that the town administrator's office would still continue operations as normal. I'll send them, assuming that if this gets approved, I will send another email just updating them on tonight, because I told them we were going to be discussing interim town administrator. But, and we should probably vote before he says no and runs away. Any further comments on this?
No.
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the support for the board. I'm truly humbled and look forward to continuing to work with you in this capacity. I truly appreciate the support.
Great,
Thank you.
You've earned it.
I hope
Thank
you
you,
say
Mitch.
that in 10 years. I mean,
Sure.
What is the plan for the interim? How long is that gonna be?
There's no date on it right now, so I think my thinking is that it will be at least several months, because the town administrator was under contract for a significant amount of time. So quite frankly, we can't afford to pay 3 town administrators right now, but you know, and Mitch has been doing an excellent job, so I think we'll kind of get things sorted, and then I would assume similar to what we did with the police chief search, you know, set up a search committee and kind of do a full process like that, but not for a little while.
Too bad it's not a show-in, but
Oh, excuse me?
I say, too bad it's
Oh,
not a show-in. That was a positive comment.
Yeah, oh, got it.
I just wondered if you were gonna have an interview process.
Yes, we will have a full open interview process, I would assume with a search. We will not make the front, well, I can never guarantee that, you kidding me? But,
and you know what? It's
yeah.
the right thing to do,
Yeah.
because if Mitch rises to the top, which I have no doubt that, you know, he's capable of doing that, he's better for that we went through the process.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, boom, we give him the position.
yes.
To be earned and not
Yep.
handed.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Sure.
And I think this board, you know, it's the conversations I've, you know, had and seen this board, I think this board feels very strongly about that. Doing the right thing, the right candidate always comes forward.
We're finally having luck as citizens. Started with Linda and goes with Mitch.
Great, well, thank you, that's very nice of you to say. We're lucky, we as a town are very lucky. We voted, right?
Yep.
Did we vote? We voted,
Did.
congratulations, Mitch.
Thank you,
I was
Mitch.
gonna say get to work, but you're already working, so. Next, we have the appointment of Kate Johns Shaw as a member of the Historic District Commission.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Kate John Shaw as a member of the Historic District Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Motion has been made.
Second.
Is there a second? And seconded. I know we interviewed Kate at our last meeting. Just a quick funny story. I was at the Beecham's reception last night, and someone said to me, if you're looking for anyone else for the historic, there's this woman that recently moved to town full-time, and she's an architect, and she would be unbelievable. And I was like, I think we're voting her in tomorrow night. So we got her, luckily.
There we go.
Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. The motion carries. Next, we have the acceptance of the resignation from the police office manager Sherry Nogler.
I move that the board accept the resignation of police office manager Sherry Nagra, effective the 31st of May, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I know this is a retirement.
Sherry's retiring. Yeah, we
Right.
wish her
Is
well.
that
She's been a great
She's
employee.
outstanding, yeah.
She
Yeah,
really is.
she'll be here for a few more months.
Correct.
So we'll have an opportunity to thank her, because I know she's done an excellent job for the police. Those are big shoes to fill.
They certainly are. Certainly are. She's
Yeah.
going to help us bring her replacement on board and train them, so we're fortunate for that.
Oh, that's really nice. And I know that that job has been posted, right?
It has, and we have some great applicants.
Great.
applicants.
That's awesome.
Is that a
Great,
40
important-
hour?
35 hours.
35.
Yeah, but that's an important job. I mean, and like oftentimes she's like the face of the police. Is she the voice on the Code Red calls?
She is. She's the famous voice on the Code Red calls. When it's not Mark, it's
We
Sherry.
kicked Mark off. Okay. Anyway, any more comment? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of a grant agreement with Harbor Light Community Partners.
I move that the selectmen approve the grant agreement with Harbor Light Community Partners of 283 Elliott Street in Beverly, Massachusetts for its creation of affordable housing of Granite Street Housing Development in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further comments on this?
So this was the grant that was approved at the last town meeting, I think, right, from the
It was, yes.
CPC? Yep.
Yeah. It's nice to see it kind of timely. You know how sometimes these don't come for like a long time after?
Mhm.
Yes, and kudos to our office manager, Debbie, who's been very diligent now on
Following
pushing
up
it
with
out
them,
and
right.
tracking them down.
It's crazy that town meeting will vote for a grant and then they won't, like, it won't get followed up on for a long time,
Mhm.
so. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Hey, Paul, do you need to take off?
No,
We're
no, I'm
good
good.
if you-
No,
seriously.
no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I got a pinched nerve that's really.
We're the
No, I'm good.
wounded up here.
Poor Denise had knee surgery. You guys
we're all
really-
falling
Don,
apart
you
here.
and I need to knock on wood. 'cause
I'm
we're
good.
like-
No, right, I'm good. I hope I make
Doing
the
my
end of the
PT
meeting.
under the table.
Just dousing myself.
It's when I
in
sit, when I
Purell.
stand, like I stand pretty much
Oh,
all day
walk ar-
long.
You can
Yeah.
walk around.
Toby, why don't
Sit
you
with
switch
Toby,
me?
he'll like
Can be the wandering
Look at him, like he doesn't.
selectman.
Okay, next we have approval of MVP Consultant Services contract with MAPC in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign the MVP consultant service contract with MAPC, 60 Temple Place, Boston, Massachusetts, for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Project in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Further comments on this?
I would defer to Joe if he has any particular comments. It's part of a grant, carrying out a grant that we received, Coastal
Great.
Resiliency.
Is
Great.
this part of a broader grant, Joe?
This is a grant to basically study the impacts of climate change,
Right.
sea level rise
Right.
On the town of Rockport.
Oh, this is one we've been talking about for a
So
while.
there's a process that brings in, community groups and discussions
Yep.
to plan and prepare for that.
And is this the grant that you have to complete this phase before you can apply for the next level of grant?
There may be some other grants certainly in the future, and this is the starting point.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Great. Any further comments?
What does this do? Form committees, not committees, but does this advise and come back?
We have a core group of employees that are been named as part of the application that is going to be sort of going through the workshop process or planning process with a consultant, MAPC, bringing in other community groups to meetings and discussions, coming out with a plan. Basically, there's a statement here that I think may give you an idea, if I could just read it here. So the town of Rockport fully commits to proactively working to plan and prepare for the effects of climate change and its effects on the town of Rockport. Rockport unique geographical location has many advantages, but a significant disadvantage in its vulnerability to sea level rise and coastal changes. So through this grant, the town seeks to stay ahead of the natural changes that it faces. So we're planning, we're gonna have meetings and discussions to bring in some thoughts and identify, vulnerability and try to plan for eventual issues that could come up due to these climate changes and sea level rise.
Is that a report that comes back to the Board of Selectmen or the Planning Board, or where does that go?
It certainly would be a public, report at the end of the process, and we can certainly submit that to the select.
Great. Great, thanks. Toby, quick question on this?
Yes, I do. Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. You're always, delighted when you get grants, and the planning board has latched on to 125,000 in grants, or so they say, from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. I'm not so enthused. Not one single penny, just services, which MAPC puts a price tag on and provides employment for their employees. And maybe it's worth something and maybe it's not, but I think you start with what you have. And what we have is the coastal floodplain regulations in the zoning code, which might as well be written in Tibetan or Estonian. They're gibberish, and that would be where you start with planning for, you know, coastal floodplain rise.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of Complete Streets consultant contract with TEC in the amount of $35,033.48.
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve and sign the Complete Streets Consultant Contract with TEC Inc., 146 Dascom Road, Andover, Massachusetts, for the town of Rockport's Complete Streets Prioritization Plan Tier 2, as approved by Mass DOT under agreement number 102995, in the amount of $35,033.48.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Joe, did you want to comment on this?
Just that it's another grant opportunity through Complete Streets program that allows the town to, again, plan, identify areas in town that could be improved for increased mobility, for pedestrians,
Great.
bicycle flow, and I think just having a group together focusing on those types of issues through town and coming up with a priority list is important, and this will get us there.
Great, thank you. Okay, any further questions on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the Mill Pond and Lower Meadow landscaping plans.
I
As-
move.
Go
oops,
ahead.
No?
No, go ahead.
No, I
It's
don't
all-
want
it's
to
all in the
interrupt you.
motion.
Oh, it's all, okay.
Yeah.
I move that the selectmen approve the Mill Pond and Lower Meadow landscaping plans as per selectmen's policy used by the town-owned property policy 20-07 and as reviewed by the DPW director and beautification committee.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Is this you too, Joe? Busy night.
Well, I certainly could
Joe's
speak
into
to
everything tonight.
But there are also members of the beautification committee here as well, Chairman Stephanie Gould.
Yep.
So I will step if you want to say.
Barbara Sparks is hiding
Oh,
up
there's
front
Barbara. I'm
too.
sorry, Barbara
Yep.
Duffy's here.
She snuck in.
Terry Duffy's here.
And Terry's
as well.
here.
And, I mean, certainly we've been working on both the Mill Pond improvements and the Lower Meadow project improvements. The Mill Pond is ongoing now. We have, just about completed the dredging portion, some of the very heavy lifting of that project, and we'll be wrapping things up, I think, in the month of February for, the remainder of the winter, but come spring, we need to do some planting, revegetation, and so you see a plan for the Mill Pond improvements.
Mm-hmm.
You also have a plan that shows what we propose to do for the Lower Meadow, and this information has been sort of reviewed and discussed at many levels. We have the Mill Meadow Committee that, have been working with the architects, engineers to really look at the areas and identify the correct plantings for the meadow and the pond. And I think also, there are certain members that overlap in different committees, but I think it's been looked at with many eyes and
Great.
come to the conclusion that these are the best plantings for the project. And so ultimately, the process is to move those plans for review and approval by, the beautification committee, which they have, and a letter was submitted with this, and also the DPW director, which I've also submitted my letter of approval. So recommend that you approve the plans as submitted.
Great. Would anyone else like to speak? This is exciting.
I just want to say that we thrashed it out on many levels. And as our letter said, we feel good about what the outcome is.
Great.
Terry?
You guys know this is what I do for a living, and I know every single plant on there, and they're all totally appropriate for that space. So,
Great. I know Toby asked in public comment, I'm not sure if you were here yet, if we could each name 4 of the plants, and I'm like,
Five.
five plants. I'm like, I don't have to because you guys are here.
Common Bonset, cinnamon fern, pickerel weed, Somerset clethra, and sour gum. How's that, Toby?
Pretty good.
Does that work?
except for
No, I wasn't. It was all from memory.
Clethra.
Yeah,
Clethra.
he's in his
Potato, potato.
front yard in East Boston.
That's right. We had a lot of those. A lot of those
But
on
this is
Bennington Street.
exciting. This is exciting, and it's cool that it's so many different groups and people, coming together to to work on something like this. It's pretty neat to see all the different people's expertise.
Barbara Sparks, 22 High Street, member of the Millbrook Meadow Committee. We are talking about having a public meeting, probably in March, and we'll be discussing that at our meeting this week to see what a date will be.
Great.
We're getting questions now that people are seeing that things are happening.
Yeah,
so that's
right.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Hmm.
Any further comments from the board?
No?
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. The motion carries, and thank you all for all of your hard work on this. I know I saw Sam last night, and I thanked him, but we're getting closer and closer. It's just crazy now how much closer we really are getting in there.
It's awesome.
So thanks for all the hard work. Nice to see everybody. Was that it for our?
Yep, action.
Other business or announcements? I just want to quickly look at our calendar for the next few weeks, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
So next week is school vacation week, so we purposefully didn't address anything. The 27th is a regular meeting, and then that's going to be a busy one just because we
Catch up.
we need to kind of catch up after vacation, and on that will be the task force creation, so it's going to be a busy night with that as well.
Yes, we'll do the announcement
Yeah.
for it that evening.
Yep.
And-
Then the next night, the 28th, is the DPW hearing on the, just to say it once again, on the 2018-19 fees, right? I talked to Bruce the other day. I think that Long Beach Infrastructure Committee was supposed to be tonight,
Correct.
but would people be okay with moving that to the 6th? So that it could have its own night?
So, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
when we pulled the draft agendas
Okay.
this evening, it looks like there was a pre-scheduled workshop with the Finance Committee to go one last walkthrough of the budget that evening.
Oh, so maybe we
So
could.
if you wanted to do both of them, or
I
if you
think we
wanted
could
to...
do both, as long as it's not, I just don't want to tag them onto a regular meeting, because I think it's
Certainly.
going to be longer. So does that work, Chip, if we did, we did like an, yeah, maybe we did 1 hour with, maybe we could start earlier if people, I just have to make sure I can get a sitter that night.
Sure.
But if
I'd like to
people,
talk
I'm
about
gonna have
that.
to join by phone. I'm
Okay.
in New York that day.
okay, but could you
Yeah.
join by phone?
Yeah.
Would that work?
Yeah.
Does that work for both of you?
Yep, I'll make it work.
Maybe we could try to start at 6, and if we did
And we're
an
gonna do
hour with
budget, and what else are we gonna do?
Finance committee
Long
from 6
Beach.
to 7, and then maybe Long Beach from 7 to like 8:30 or 9 if we had to. Does that make sense? So we'll have to email, can you have Debbie email the LBIC and confirm
Yes.
that? I
Yep.
just kind of casually said it to Bruce, but
Certainly.
he seemed fine with it. And then the 13th of March would be another regular meeting, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yes,
I
question?
remind you of my letter on the task forces, to which I received no reply.
I will get you a reply to that. I have to read through the whole thing again. I got through your DPW letter yesterday, but I haven't gotten through the task force one yet, but I will get through it.
With regard to the task forces, I remind you of what the finance committee was saying about a 20% increase in the taxes if we were going to do all the things that a proper town should do. And I would think that a basic part of deciding where the task forces is going is deciding whether we're intending to aim high for what the finance committee was asking for, or whether we're aiming to screw the lid on and stick with proposition 2.5.
Okay. Okay, thanks for your comments.
So the 13th, what did you say on the?
Regular meeting.
Regular meeting?
Yeah. So I just have to confirm the 6th, but I think I can get coverage. My husband's away that whole week, so. Does that make sense for everybody?
Sure.
Okay. Perfect. I think that's it. Any other business?
I would like to, speaking of meetings, and I know there's a lot going into this, but would we ever consider, and this down the road, of starting our selectmen meetings at 6 p.m.?
Why?
I just think, I've noticed that I can only talk about Manchester and Essex, but a lot of the committee meetings that I go begin right at 6 p.m. And people go right from work, right to the meeting. A lot of people work from home, and they got their computers and so forth. Could we try it, or is it possible? I'm just throwing it out. I mean, we can keep it
Could
at
other
7.
people get here by, my issue is just getting here
Right,
from
oh, that's
work
right,
by
yeah. I
6,
mean,
but I mean, I'm happy to look and see if I could make it. I don't mind coming straight from work to the meeting. I don't need, that's not a big deal to me. I just don't know if like logistically.
I remember when I was a kid, meetings would always start at 7:30.
It seems so late now.
Now,
doesn't it?
yeah.
I don't know, would
We
6
started
work
at
for
6,
you?
especially-
I mean, it would be nice to get-
Sometimes. So there would be times when it would be difficult for me to get here by 6. It's unpredictable.
Yeah.
But I could try it.
Or even
Be
like
open to try it.
6:30.
What about you?
I'm good. Whatever time I have to be here, I'll be here. I'll always make the
Yeah.
accommodation.
Madam Chair, the only
I'm fine.
consideration I would offer to the board is that there will be several meetings where we'll need executive session, so as long as there's some ability to either do before or
Or
after,
after.
Yeah.
as long as
With
that's kept in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Once again, and maybe this is a question for Becky in the control room. Are we live on Facebook?
It is not on
Or
Facebook.
live in any forum in any way, so the public is getting it?
Right now, I don't know.
Okay, there you go. So that works out. Perfect. So we'll have that. I mean, I'm just, to get, to broaden the audience, I guess, is just,
Yeah.
if that's part of it, that's good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let me like look at my work calendar
Yeah, this,
honestly
I
and
mean,
see. But
we could
you
even
know,
try
if
it. I mean, like
yeah.
in the spring or something.
Yeah. I mean, we're fresher at 8 at night than we are at 9:30, 10. That's for sure.
What do you think, Toby?
I think you should meet at least 3 times a month in Suffolk, meeting other town committees.
We do. We end up meeting 3 times a month, at least. Or we're at other or we're at other meetings.
Oh, that's not the same thing. I mean, it's having them in here so that.
I'm not going to meet for the sake of meeting.
Certainly not.
Yeah,
You
okay.
don't think there are enough things to do?
No, we get things done. This is a very well-oiled machine. there.
On that note, 5 months
Before you could get the DPW commissioners to a workshop meeting, and I do believe they were resentful. Maybe Mr. Campbell would attest
Perhaps.
to it.
On that note, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? One of you can second it.
You do it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.